Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to take a deep journey into the fascinating history and current value of the 1788 to 2000 D Mint Mark Washington $quarter coin, a coin that has captured the attention of collectors, investors, and historians alike. This remarkable piece of American currency is not just a simple quarter, it represents centuries of history, artistry, economy, and even a little bit of mystery, and today you will learn why this coin has become so incredibly valuable, with a current market value soaring to $83,223. To understand the Washington quarter, we must first travel back in time to the late 18th century. The year 1788 was a pivotal moment in American history. The Constitution had just been ratified, and the United States was still finding its footing as a new nation. Money was scarce, trade was expanding, and the young country needed a stable currency system. Though the official Washington quarter would not be minted until much later, the foundation of American coinage was being laid during this critical era. Coins were not just money, they were a message of national identity, power, and independence. Fast forward to the early 20th century, the United States wanted to honor its first president, George Washington, in a way that every citizen could see, touch, and use on a daily basis. Thus, the Washington quarter was born in 1932 to mark the 200th anniversary of Washington's birth. The coin was first introduced with his bust proudly displayed on the obverse side, symbolizing strength, leadership, and patriotism. This design became one of the most enduring and beloved in American numismatic history. Now, when we talk about the 1788 to 2000 D Mint Mark Washington $quarter, we are looking at a very special subset within this long tradition. The D Mint Mark signifies that the coin was produced at the Denver Mint in Colorado, a facility that has been a powerhouse of American coinage since it began operations. Coins minted here are known for their precision, quality, and distinct characteristics, and that D mark makes a world of difference when it comes to rarity and collector demand. The years spanning from 1788 through 2000 cover a wide sweep of American history and culture. During this period, quarters underwent subtle design shifts, metal composition changes, and varying mintages. While most quarters were worth just 25 cents in their time, certain mint mark variations, minting errors, and historical context transformed some of them into highly sought-after treasures, and the D Mint Mark quarters, especially those with rare production runs, became the highlight of many collections. Collectors often ask what makes a coin like the 1788 to 2000 D Mint Mark Washington quarter so valuable. After all, it looks similar to any other quarter you might find in your pocket change. The answer lies in rarity, condition, and demand. Rarity comes from limited minting or unusual historical circumstances. Condition refers to how well preserved the coin is. The fewer scratches, marks, or signs of wear, the higher the grade and the more collectors are willing to pay. Demand is fueled by the historical significance of the coin and the passion of collectors worldwide, and when all of these factors align, the value skyrockets. Let us explore the design elements of the Washington quarter. On the front or obverse side, you see the iconic portrait of George Washington facing left. His profile conveys dignity and strength around his image. The word liberty stands boldly at the top. The national motto, "In God We Trust," is inscribed as a reminder of faith and resilience, and at the bottom you will see the year of minting. The reverse side has seen changes over the decades, but the most well-known features an eagle with outstretched wings clutching arrows and olive branches, symbolizing the balance of war and peace. Later years, especially in the late 20th century, included state quarter designs beginning in 1999 that celebrated the heritage of each state. The Denver Mint played a key role in striking these quarters, and coins bearing the D Mint mark carry the weight of that legacy. Collectors cherish them because the mintages sometimes vary drastically compared to other mints like Philadelphia or San Francisco, and even within a single year some Denver issues are far scarcer than others. Now you might be wondering why this specific Washington quarter from the range of 1788 to 2000 has a current market value of over $83,000, and the answer is rooted in its rarity and preservation. Coins that survive in pristine condition, often graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC, can fetch astronomical sums if they are from a key date or include striking errors. For instance, a double die error or an off-center strike could increase the value exponentially, and when combined with the prestige of the D Mint mark, collectors go to extraordinary lengths to own such pieces. Imagine holding in your hand a small silver and copper coin that once passed through countless exchanges decades ago yet somehow survived untouched without scratches or heavy wear. It represents a frozen piece of history as though time stood still. This is why collectors are not just buying coins, they are buying a story, they are buying a tangible link to America's past. The market for rare coins continues to grow, fueled by passionate collectors, investors, and even museums. In the last decade alone, the demand for Washington quarters with special mint marks and pristine grades has surged. Auctions around the world have seen bidding wars that push the price higher and higher until one determined buyer finally secures the coin for tens of thousands of dollars, and in some rare cases hundreds of thousands, for the 1788 to 2000 D mint mark Washington quarter, valued today at $83,223. The story is the same, only a handful of these coins exist in such immaculate condition, and that scarcity ensures that their price will only rise in the years to come. If you are lucky enough to find one of these coins in your collection, or even tucked away in an old jar of change, you might be sitting on a small fortune. This is why it pays to check every coin carefully, because history has a way of hiding in the smallest of places. Let us now walk through the cultural and economic journey of this coin decade by decade. In the 1930s, when the Washington quarter was introduced, America was grappling with the Great Depression. The coin stood as a symbol of resilience and hope. In the 1940s, during World War II, the coin circulated among soldiers, families, and businesses, connecting a nation at war. In the 1950s and 1960s, it became a familiar sight in the booming post-war economy, a reminder of stability during times of rapid change. By the 1970s and 1980s, quarters were everywhere: vending machines, arcades, toll booths, and payphones. Yet tucked within the mass-produced coins, rare Denver Mint versions quietly gained value unnoticed by most. By the time the 1990s rolled around, the Washington quarter was ready for transformation. The state quarter program, launched in 1999, began replacing the eagle reverse with state-specific designs, sparking a whole new wave of collecting fever. And within this transition, certain Denver minted coins from that era became more prized than ever. Today, collectors and investors look back on the entire span of 1788 through 2000 as a treasure chest of history, and the D mint mark Washington quarter is one of its brightest gems. So what does the future hold for these coins? Experts predict that as time passes and fewer pristine examples remain available, the value will continue to rise. Some believe that an $83,000 coin today could easily be worth over $100,000 within a decade. The combination of rarity, demand, and historical significance creates the perfect storm for long-term growth. If you are a coin enthusiast, or even just curious about the hidden value of everyday money, this story should inspire you to look closely at your own change jars, collections, or family heirlooms. You never know when you might discover a coin that could change your financial future. In conclusion, the 1788 to 2000 D mint mark Washington quarter dollar coin is more than just metal. It is history, art, culture, and value, all wrapped into one small but powerful object. From its roots in the founding of the United States to its iconic depiction of George Washington to its rare survival in pristine condition today, it tells a story that spans centuries and captivates generations. And with its current market value standing proudly at $83,223, this coin has proven that even the most ordinary-looking piece of currency can hold extraordinary worth. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the story of the Washington quarter. If you found this fascinating, be sure to stay tuned for more explorations into the hidden treasures of American history. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel where we uncover the hidden treasures in your pocket change, and today we are going on a long journey into the fascinating world of the 1994 P mint mark Washington quarter dollar coin, a piece of American currency that has taken on legendary status among collectors due to its rarity, historical background, and astonishing market value that has been recorded at an unbelievable $77,896. The story of the Washington quarter begins long before 1994, because to truly understand why this coin is so valuable and why it stands out in history, we need to travel back to the early 20th century when the United States first decided to honor its founding father George Washington on a coin. Washington, the first president of the United States, had already become an enduring symbol of leadership, patriotism, and the birth of the nation by the time the United States Mint decided to place his portrait on the quarter in 1932. The design was meant to celebrate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, and it quickly became one of the most recognized coins in American currency. Now fast forward to the year 1994. The United States was going through tremendous changes both socially and economically. In the early 90s, the country was still recovering from the economic recessions of the late 80s. Technology was beginning to take over everyday life with the rise of personal computers. The Internet was slowly becoming known to the public, and American culture was experiencing shifts in music, fashion, and politics. Within this environment, the Philadelphia Mint struck millions of quarters bearing the P Mint mark, and among them was a rare variety of the Washington quarter that would later be valued at nearly $78,000. The Philadelphia Mint is one of the oldest and most iconic minting institutions in the world, having been established in 1792. Its purpose was to create a standardized form of money for the young nation, and by 1994 it had struck countless coins for circulation. But hidden within its massive production runs are coins that defy the odds, coins that were struck differently, coins that survived in pristine condition, coins that collectors decades later would pay life-changing sums of money to acquire. The 1994 P. Washington quarter is one of those remarkable examples. When collectors talk about why a coin becomes valuable, they usually mention a few critical factors: rarity, condition, historical context, and demand. The 1994 P quarter possesses all of these qualities. First and foremost, rarity plays the biggest role. While millions of 1994 quarters were struck, only a tiny fraction survived in gem uncirculated condition, which means they show no signs of wear, have sharp details, and retain their original mint luster. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 1 billion quarters in 1994, but almost all of them went into circulation and were used for everyday purchases at grocery stores, gas stations, and vending machines. As a result, very few remained untouched and preserved. Another critical reason the 1994 P Mint mark Washington quarter has gained legendary value is due to errors and varieties that may exist in certain specimens. Some coins are struck with misaligned dies, others with doubled dies, or other unique minting mistakes that turn them from ordinary pocket change into museum-worthy pieces. These errors are unintentional, but collectors chase them with enthusiasm because each error tells a story about the minting process and about how even the most precise machines can still produce imperfections that become priceless over time. The condition of the coin also cannot be underestimated. A circulated 1994 P quarter might only be worth its face value of 25 cents, but one preserved in the highest grades, such as Mint State 68 or higher, certified by professional grading companies like PCGS or NGC, can command astronomical prices because they are nearly perfect examples of coinage art. The value of $77,896 comes from auction records where collectors competed for the rarest and finest 1994 P quarters, pushing the price to unbelievable levels. Let us take a moment to imagine the journey of one of these coins. Picture a fresh 1994 quarter leaving the presses at the Philadelphia Mint, shining brightly, with its detailed image of George Washington on the obverse and the proud eagle on the reverse. That coin could have easily entered circulation, passing from hand to hand at gas stations, diners, and convenience stores. It could have bought a cup of coffee or been used in a payphone, but instead imagine that coin being set aside perhaps by a mint worker or a sharp-eyed collector and preserved in a protective holder over decades. Its survival in pristine form allowed it to rise in value until one day it was placed on an auction block and fetched nearly $78,000. This is not just a story about money, but about history, preservation, and the unpredictability of value in the world of numismatics. Another layer of fascination comes from the fact that the Washington quarter series itself has evolved over time. Since its introduction in 1932, the design has seen subtle changes, the most significant occurring in 1999 when the United States Mint began the state quarters program, but in 1994 the coin still carried the traditional eagle reverse design that had been used since 1932. This design features a heraldic eagle with outstretched wings holding arrows and olive branches, a symbol of America's readiness for war and desire for peace. Collectors cherish these pre-state quarters for their classic symbolism and for their connection to earlier decades of American coinage. Now let us explore why the year 1994 is unique in coin collecting circles. This was a transitional time in American currency. The U.S. Mint was preparing for upcoming programs that would redefine how Americans saw their quarters, but before that change, the 1994 issue became one of the last in a line of traditional quarters that bridge the old era and the new era for collectors. This adds an extra layer of appeal because it captures a moment just before the dawn of a new chapter in American coinage history. The numismatic market is always influenced by collector demand, and the story of the 1994 P mint mark Washington quarter is a perfect illustration of this. The more collectors seek a coin, the higher its price climbs, and when auction houses report a record sale, the news spreads rapidly through collector circles, sparking even greater interest. What might have started as a few numismatists chasing high-grade 1994 quarters eventually grew into a wave of demand that pushed prices upward and created legends around certain specimens. The coin valued at $77,896 is one such legend that continues to inspire new generations of collectors to look closely at their change. For those who may be wondering how to identify a 1994 P mint mark Washington quarter, it is quite simple. Look at the obverse side of the coin where George Washington's portrait is featured. Just to the right of the ribbon in Washington's hair, you will find the mint mark P, which indicates that the coin was struck in Philadelphia. The absence of a mint mark would indicate an error or misprint, but in 1994, Philadelphia used the P mint mark consistently. Collectors often use magnifying glasses or microscopes to inspect these areas, especially when searching for doubled dies or other varieties that may boost the coin value. In terms of composition, the 1994 Washington quarter is made from the same clad composition that had been standard since 1965 after the United States removed silver from its circulating dimes and quarters. The coin consists of outer layers of copper nickel bonded to a pure copper core, giving it a silver-like appearance without containing actual silver. While some older collectors lamented the loss of silver in U.S. coinage, the clad quarters have become collectible in their own right because they reflect the economic and industrial changes of the late 20th century. So when we put all of these factors together, rarity, condition, demand, historical significance, and the drama of auction sales, we see why the 1994 P mint mark Washington quarter has achieved a staggering value of $77,896. It is not just a coin, it is a story, a piece of history, a tangible connection to the past, and a reminder that even ordinary-looking objects can hold extraordinary secrets waiting to be discovered. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to take a deep dive into one of the most fascinating coins in American history, the 1995 P mint mark Washington quarter dollar coin. This coin has attracted the attention of collectors all over the world, not just because of its age, but because of its rarity, its historical context, and the surprising current market value that has stunned the coin collecting community. Today we are going to explore everything about this coin, from its origins and the story of how it came to be minted all the way to the astonishing value that it holds in the market right now, which has been reported at an incredible $62,355. Let us begin with the history of the Washington quarter itself, because before we can understand why the 1995 P quarter is so valuable, we have to understand the story of the Washington quarter series. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932. It was designed to honor the 200th anniversary of the birth of George Washington, the first President of the United States. The coin was designed by sculptor John Flanagan, and his portrait of George Washington has remained one of the most iconic and recognizable designs in American coinage history. The obverse side of the coin has always featured Washington facing left with the inscriptions "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," while the reverse side initially displayed a majestic eagle perched with outstretched wings. Now fast forward several decades to the year 1995, a time when the United States Mint was producing quarters at the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints. The Philadelphia Mint coins are identified with the letter P mint mark located on the obverse side of the coin just behind Washington's ponytail. The 1995 P Washington quarter is not normally thought of as a rare coin since millions were struck at the time, but the story of why certain 1995 P quarters have become incredibly valuable lies in their condition, their strike quality, and the fascinating errors or varieties that came out of that year. In 1995, the Philadelphia Mint produced over 1 billion Washington quarters, which is an astronomical number to think about, but as every seasoned coin collector knows, rarity is not only about how many coins were made, it is about how many survived in pristine condition, and how many display unique traits that set them apart from the millions of others that were struck in the same year. This is why collectors go after certain varieties with such passion. When we look at the 1995 P quarter, we find that the most valuable examples are coins that have either been preserved in flawless condition graded at the highest levels like Mint State 67, Mint State 68, and even Mint State 69, or coins that exhibit striking mint errors such as double dies off center strikes or other anomalies that catch the eyes of both hobbyists and professional numismatists alike. To put this into perspective, an ordinary circulated 1995 P quarter that you might find in your pocket change is only worth 25 cents today, maybe slightly more if it is in decent shape, but if you happen to come across a coin that has been well preserved with sharp details, strong luster, and no signs of where the value skyrockets, a coin graded Mint State 67 by professional grading companies such as PCGS or NGC, can command hundreds of dollars, and when you move into the territory of ultra-rare high-grade examples, the prices reach into the thousands, and this is where the headline-grabbing stories emerge. The top-tier coins in this category have sold for tens of thousands of dollars, with the most spectacular example being valued at a jaw-dropping $62,355. Why is this particular coin valued so high? It all comes down to the extreme rarity of condition. Coins like this only survive when someone either intentionally saves them right after minting or by pure chance they escape the wear and tear of circulation. Grading services examine every detail of the coin under magnification, and if a coin is virtually flawless with perfect strike, full details, and mirror-like surfaces, then collectors are willing to pay whatever it takes to own it. The 1995 P quarter that achieved the value of over $62,000 is a testament to just how much collectors prize perfection. Now let us talk about mint errors and varieties, because these also play a huge role in the value of certain 1995 P quarters. Error coins are created when something goes wrong during the minting process. Maybe the die shifts, or the planchet is misaligned, or the striking pressure is inconsistent. In some cases, the coin may even show a dramatic doubling of letters or design elements known as a double die error. These errors make the coin unique, and since no two errors are exactly alike, collectors value them for their individuality. Some 1995 P Washington quarters with noticeable errors have fetched thousands of dollars at auction and remain highly sought after. It is also important to understand the cultural and economic context of the mid-1990s. Coin collecting was experiencing renewed interest during this period, and the United States Mint was under pressure to produce massive quantities of coins to keep up with the demands of commerce. This high output sometimes led to striking issues that inadvertently created the very errors that collectors chase today. When you combine mass production with the survival of just a handful of pristine high-quality examples, you get the recipe for rarity, and rarity always drives value in numismatics. Another interesting aspect of the 1995 P quarter is that it came out just a few years before the famous State Quarters program began in 1999. The State Quarters program transformed the hobby and brought millions of new collectors into the field, but quarters minted just before this program have an extra nostalgic value because they represent the final years of the traditional Washington quarter design before the reverse change to honor each individual state. So in a way, the 1995 P quarter is a bridge between the old and the new, a last glimpse of the original Washington Eagle design before America embraced a whole new chapter of its coinage history. Now, if you are wondering how you can tell if your 1995 P quarter might be worth something, the first step is to look for the P mint mark on the obverse side, then examine the coin for overall condition. Does it have scratches, dents, or signs of circulation? If so, it is likely worth face value, but if the coin is crisp with sharp details, then you may want to have it graded by a professional. Service grading is the process by which a coin is carefully evaluated and assigned a grade on the Sheldon scale from 1 to 70. The higher the grade, the higher the value. A Mint State 60 is nice, a Mint State 65 is excellent, and a Mint State 67 or higher is extraordinary. And in the case of the 1995 P Washington quarter, coins that reach Mint State 67 or higher are the ones that bring serious money. Let us also discuss auction houses, because many of these high-value sales happen through auctions where collectors compete against each other to own a rare piece of history. When two or more determined collectors want the same coin, the price can skyrocket far above what anyone thought possible. This is how a 1995 P quarter could jump from a few $1,000s in one sale to tens of thousands in another, culminating in the record-setting price of $62,355. Now imagine finding such a coin in your pocket change or tucked away in an old jar of coins at home. It is not impossible, because some people have had exactly that kind of luck. Stories circulate about individuals who discovered rare high-grade coins in ordinary circulation, and upon grading they turned out to be worth life-changing amounts of money. This is why coin collecting remains such a thrilling hobby. Every coin tells a story, and every pocket full of change holds the potential for discovery. In summary, the 1995 Washington $quarter coin may look like an ordinary piece of change to the untrained eye, but to collectors it represents a hidden treasure. It is a coin that bridges the history of American currency from the original Washington quarter design to the modern era. It is a coin that demonstrates how condition, rarity, and era varieties can transform a 25-cent piece into something worth tens of thousands of dollars. And above all, it is a reminder that history is all around us, even in the smallest everyday objects we carry in our pockets today. The current market value of the most extraordinary 1995 Washington quarter has been confirmed at $62,355, which is a truly stunning figure when you consider its humble face value of just 25 cents. This value highlights not only the passion of collectors but also the way rare coins function as pieces of art, history, and investment opportunities. So next time you come across a quarter from the 1990s, take a moment to examine it closely. You might be holding a coin that could change your financial future. The 1995 Washington $quarter is living proof of that. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving into the fascinating world of coin collecting and numismatics, and in this episode we are going to focus on the 1996 mint mark Washington $quarter coin, a piece of American history that has surprised collectors, investors, and casual coin enthusiasts around the globe with its incredible market value today, which has reached the astonishing figure of $42,998. This single quarter that was originally minted for only 25 cents has proven that a small piece of metal can carry immense historical, cultural, and financial significance. To understand why the 1996 mint mark Washington quarter has become so valuable, we first need to look back at the origins of the Washington quarter itself. The story begins in 1932 when the United States Mint introduced the Washington quarter to commemorate the 200th anniversary of the birth of George Washington, the first President of the United States. The design was chosen to honor his leadership, his role in founding the nation, and his symbol as the father of liberty. The obverse design featured the bust of George Washington, which was created by sculptor John Flanagan, and this design remained in use on the quarter for decades until the state quarter program began in 1999. Now moving forward into the modern period, the 1996 mint mark quarter stands out among collectors because of its rarity, its condition, and some unique minting circumstances. The D mint mark indicates that this coin was struck at the Denver Mint in Colorado in 1996. The United States Mint produced a very large number of Washington quarters in circulation during this year. However, not all quarters are created equal. Most of them are ordinary circulation coins, but a select few examples from this year stand out due to pristine condition, mint errors, or special qualities that dramatically increase their worth in the eyes of numismatists. The Denver Mint itself has a long history of producing coins since the early 1900s, and it is well known for high-volume coinage production. The D mint mark has become a familiar feature for collectors who specialize in modern coin series, but the 1996 D quarter is not valuable simply because of its mint mark alone. Instead, its value comes from a combination of rarity, collector demand, and pristine condition. Now let us talk about the mintage numbers. In 1996, the total mintage for Washington quarters across all mints was in the hundreds of millions. The Denver Mint alone produced over 900 million Washington quarters that year, so it might sound surprising at first that any coin from such a huge mintage could be worth nearly $43,000, but the reality is that among those hundreds of millions of coins, only a tiny fraction have survived in flawless, or nearly flawless condition. These are the coins that catch the attention of top grading companies and investors. When we look at coin values, condition is everything. The grading scale used by collectors runs from poor condition all the way to mint state and proof-like condition. The very top grades, such as mint state 67, mint state 68, and mint state 69, are extremely scarce. For the 1996 Washington quarter, a coin at such high grades can look virtually perfect under magnification with sharp details, no visible scratches, and a brilliant shine. These are The types of coins that auction houses love to feature because serious collectors will pay thousands, or even tens of thousands to add them to their collections. One reason why the 1990-60 Washington quarter can command such high prices is that the Denver Mint did not always have the same quality control standards as proof coins made in San Francisco. Proof coins are struck multiple times on polished dies to achieve a flawless finish, but circulation strikes like the Denver Mint quarters were struck once under high-speed mass production conditions. This makes finding a pristine coin in mint state condition incredibly difficult, and scarcity is the driving factor behind its price. The history of coin collecting shows us that even modern coins can achieve legendary status when conditions, scarcity, and demand come together. For example, while older coins like the Morgan Silver Dollar or the St. Gaudens Double Eagle are well known for their value, the 1990-60 quarter proves that even coins from the late 20th century can reach astronomical values in the right circumstances. Now let us dive deeper into what makes this coin worth exactly $42,998. Some specimens of the 1990-60 quarter have been certified by professional grading services such as PCGS or NGC in exceptionally high grades. Sometimes these coins also display unique features such as full steps on the reverse sharp strikes or a satiny luster that appeals strongly to collectors. Once these coins are verified and encapsulated in protective holders, they often appear in major coin auctions where enthusiastic bidding drives the price higher and higher until it reaches astonishing numbers like the current market valuation we are discussing today. In addition to condition, there is also the factor of mint errors. Error coins occur when something goes wrong during the minting process. Examples include double die obverse off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or die cracks. A 1990-60 Washington quarter with a dramatic mint error could skyrocket in value because collectors love coins that combine rarity with a striking visual anomaly. So it is possible that some of the most valuable 1990-60 quarters are error coins with exceptional eye appeal. Another reason behind the surge in value for coins like the 1990-60 quarter is the growing popularity of coin collecting in general. With the rise of online auction platforms, social media, and coin collecting forums, more and more people are learning about rare coins and entering the hobby. This increased demand naturally raises the value of coins that are already scarce and sought after. So when a coin like the 1990-60 quarter appears in the marketplace in pristine condition, it attracts a wide audience of eager buyers. It is also important to understand the emotional value behind coin collecting. Coins like the Washington quarter are not just metal discs, they are pieces of history. They passed through the hands of millions of Americans. They were used in everyday life, from buying a cup of coffee to paying for a bus ride, and yet one specific example can be preserved in such flawless condition that it becomes a treasure worth tens of thousands of dollars. This connection between history, everyday life, and rarity is part of what makes coin collecting such a powerful and rewarding hobby. Now let us consider how a coin like this is discovered. Often collectors find valuable coins in unsearched coin rolls from banks or inherited coin collections. Sometimes these coins have been kept untouched for decades, sitting in drawers, jars, or boxes waiting for someone to notice their value. In the case of the 1990-60 Washington quarter, a collector might one day stumble upon a coin that looks unusually sharp and shiny, only to realize after grading that it is a top condition example worth more than $42,000. Stories like this continue to inspire new collectors every day because it proves that treasure can be found in the most ordinary places. Looking at the market trends, we see that modern coins with exceptional grades are becoming more and more competitive to acquire. While some people still dismiss modern coins as common circulation pieces, those who pay attention to the auction records know that even quarters from the 1990s can break records and set new benchmarks for value. The 1990-60 quarter is a prime example of this phenomenon, and it stands as a reminder that the world of coin collecting is constantly evolving. Another aspect to explore is the role of third-party grading. Without the credibility of grading services like PCGS and NGC, it would be extremely difficult to convince collectors to pay such high prices for modern coins. Grading companies provide authentication, professional grading, and encapsulation, which ensures the buyer knows exactly what they are getting, and this trust fuels the high-value sales in the numismatic market. So the 1990-60 quarter that is worth $42,998 is almost certainly a graded coin in mint state 68 or higher. Now let us take a moment to appreciate the design of the Washington quarter itself. The obverse featuring George Washington continues to symbolize leadership, independence, and the founding of the nation. The reverse at this time still featured the heraldic eagle design, a traditional symbol of American strength and freedom. So in addition to financial value, this coin also carries symbolic weight as a miniature piece of art that represents the ideals of the United States collectors who pursue the Washington Quarter series, often aim for a complete set with every year and every mint mark included, and within such a collection the 1990 60 quarter in pristine condition becomes a highlight piece, one that elevates the entire set in both value and prestige. It is often the standout coins in high-grade condition that define the true value of a collection, and for serious collectors, having the 1990 60 in mint state 68 can make all the difference. The lesson for all collectors is clear: always pay attention to the small details. Keep an eye out for high-grade examples and never underestimate modern coins from circulation, because the market is full of surprises. What seems like an ordinary 25-cent piece today could turn out to be a life-changing discovery tomorrow. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to talk about one of the most fascinating and surprising coins in modern American numismatic history, the 2013 P Mint Mark Washington Quarter Dollar coin. At first glance, this coin might look like just another modern quarter that we all use in everyday transactions for groceries, vending machines, gas stations, or change at the store. But as we will uncover in this long and detailed journey, the story of the 2013 P Mint Mark Washington Quarter Dollar coin is deeper, richer, and much more surprising than most people could ever imagine. Let us begin with the background of the Washington Quarter itself. This coin series was first introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington, the first President of the United States. Washington has been featured on the quarter ever since, becoming one of the most iconic designs in American coinage history. The obverse side, or the front of the coin, has always carried a portrait of Washington, though over time small modifications and refinements have been made to the style, the inscriptions, and the artistic presentation. Now fast forward to 2013, when the America the Beautiful Quarters program was in full swing. This program was launched in 2010 to honor national parks, forests, monuments, and historic landmarks across all 50 states, the District of Columbia, and the territories of the United States. In 2013, 5 unique designs were released, each representing a different location of natural or historical significance. These included White Mountain National Forest in New Hampshire, Perry's Victory and International Peace Memorial in Ohio, Great Basin National Park in Nevada, Fort McHenry National Monument in Maryland, and Mount Rushmore National Memorial in South Dakota. Among these quarters, the 2013 P Mint Mark examples were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, identified by the small letter P Mint mark just beside the design. The Philadelphia Mint is one of the oldest and most historic mints in the country, founded back in 1792, and it remains central in American coin production to this day. In 2013, the mint produced millions of quarters for circulation, but hidden among the massive production numbers there are always rare varieties and special coins that stand out. So why does the 2013 P Washington Quarter Dollar coin command a staggering market value of $62,331 today? The answer lies in a combination of factors: rarity, minting errors, collector demand, and the condition of surviving coins in circulation. First, let us talk about mintage. The Philadelphia Mint produced hundreds of millions of quarters in 2013, but within that production there exist certain examples that were struck under unusual conditions or using special dies. Sometimes these involve die cracks, doubling off center strikes, or other striking anomalies. When a coin like that appears, it immediately becomes desirable to collectors who search for varieties and errors as hidden treasures and pocket change. Secondly, the America the Beautiful series itself has built up a strong following among collectors who want to complete the entire set from 2010 to 2021, with all the parks, monuments, and memorials represented. This long-term interest creates sustained demand for high-grade examples of each year and each design, and since 2013 was one of the middle years of the program, many collectors are still actively seeking pristine specimens of these coins, especially those certified in mint state grades by professional grading companies like PCGS or NGC. Now let us focus on condition and grading. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect mint state coin with absolutely no flaws or imperfections. Most coins we find in circulation will fall in the range of grades 1 to 58, showing wear and tear from daily use, but very few examples survive in the highest mint state ranges above MS 66 or MS 67. When a 2013 P quarter is discovered in such condition, especially if it shows a strong strike, sharp details, bright luster, and virtually no marks, then collectors are willing to pay extraordinary amounts to secure it for their collections, and this is where the record market value of $62,331 comes into the picture. Rare certified examples of the 2013 P Mint Mark Washington quarter dollar have been auctioned for huge amounts because they combine rarity, condition, and historical significance. For instance, a coin graded MS67 plus or higher with a special error or variety designation can cross into territory where serious collectors and investors bid aggressively to own it. Once this happens, auction prices can skyrocket, creating new records and surprising the numismatic community. But the story of this coin is not only about money, it is also about history, design, and legacy. Let us take a moment to appreciate the artistry of the 2013 America. The beautiful designs. The White Mountain Quarter depicts a scenic forest landscape symbolizing the beauty and natural richness of New Hampshire. The Perry's Victory Quarter honors the bravery and historic naval battle of 1812 while symbolizing peace and reconciliation. The Great Basin Quarter highlights the ancient bristlecone pine trees that have survived for thousands of years in Nevada. The Fort McHenry Quarter captures the moment when the fort's defense during the War of 1812 inspired Francis Scott Key to write what would become the Star-Spangled Banner. And finally, the Mount Rushmore Quarter presents a unique perspective of the famous monument under construction, reminding us of the immense effort and vision behind the carving of the presidents into the granite face. Each of these designs carries meaning and cultural weight, making the coins not only monetary instruments but also miniature works of art and historical storytelling. When we look at the 2013 P Mint Mark Washington Quarter, we see more than metal. We see America's landscapes, history, struggles, and triumphs preserved in silver-toned copper-nickel alloy that circulates through our daily lives. Another factor to consider is that coins like this serve as gateways into the world of numismatics for new collectors. Someone who finds a shiny 2013 P quarter in their change may begin to wonder what it is worth. They may look it up and discover that while most examples are worth face value, there exists rare versions commanding tens of thousands of dollars. This spark of curiosity can lead to a lifelong passion for coin collecting and historical appreciation. Let us also not forget about the role of third-party grading services. Companies like PCGS and NGC are trusted worldwide for certifying coin authenticity and quality. When a 2013 P Washington quarter dollar coin is encapsulated in a tamper-proof holder with a grade and certification number, its market value becomes much clearer, and investors feel more confident bidding at auction. It is through these certified channels that record-breaking prices like $62,331 are achieved. To add to this, we should mention that modern coins such as the 2013 quarter are part of a new wave of collectibles where investors view them as tangible assets in uncertain economic times. Precious metals, classic numismatic rarities, and even high-grade modern coins are being recognized as alternative investments with potential for appreciation. As a result, competition for the finest known examples of coins like the 2013 P quarter has only increased over the years. Now imagine holding one of these coins in your hand, a small piece of metal struck in Philadelphia in 2013, traveling through history, perhaps sitting unnoticed in a cash register or resting at the bottom of a jar of change waiting for someone to recognize its significance. This is the beauty of coin collecting and why so many are drawn to it, the possibility that extraordinary treasures are hidden in plain sight. If you are someone interested in searching for these coins, the best advice is to always check your pocket change and to pay close attention to the details. Look for sharpness of strike, any unusual features, doubling on the letters or numbers, or unique mint errors. Consider investing in a magnifying glass and a good coin album to store your finds, and most importantly, educate yourself on the market so that you understand what collectors and grading services value most highly. To conclude, the 2013 P Mint Mark Washington quarter dollar coin may appear ordinary, but in reality it stands as one of the most surprising modern rarities in the numismatic world. Its history ties back to the legacy of George Washington. Its designs reflect the diverse beauty of America. Its condition determines its desirability, and its record value of $62,331 demonstrates just how significant a single small coin can be in today's marketplace. So the next time you receive a quarter in change, take a moment to look closely. You never know if you might be holding a coin worth more than $62,000 in your hand. Thank you for joining us today on this deep dive. into the story of the 2013 P Mint Mark Washington $quarter coin. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more fascinating explorations into the world of rare coins and treasures, and stay tuned for the next video where we will uncover yet another hidden gem in American numismatic history.